right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Wednesday, October 25th. F it, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live in studio. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. Clayton, it's here. Five Nights at Freddy's is only about 3 nights away, maybe even less. This is on a Wednesday, so we're looking at basically when you listen to this, you're only 1 night away from Five Nights at Freddy's with the Thursday previews. It's so close. And we had to bring him in. He had to be here because this is the gaming movie of the moment. And we had to bring in the gamer, the resident gamer, the chief gaming correspondent of the BO Boys. You know him. You love him. From iScreen, You Scream 4,
The number
number
four.
4, the movies. Danny Escamolaji is here. Danny, welcome back to the BO Boys.
Thank you, Pat and Clayton. So honored to be back. Been a long minute since I've been on your Mario episode. And, you know, Dune has been that movie I want to be on your show, by the way. But then kills me to say that I have to still return. But at least for this movie, it's the right occasion for my comeback for sure. So I'm glad to be on the show right now, guys.
That's
to all want to be boys, girls, and people.
People.
Yeah, you want, for a great man, you want something to be worthy of a great comeback. And I think this Five Nights at Freddy's is comeback worthy. And it is, you know, you were, like you said, you were last here for the Super Mario Brothers movie in the spring. And that was, after Barbie, the biggest movie of this year. It's going to end up being the second biggest movie of the year. And games, it is the year of games, and Five Nights at Freddy's. So, right off the bat, I got to ask you, we got to ask you, what is Five Nights at Freddy's? Because Clayton, before Danny explains it, what is your concept? We've both seen the trailer. We've both seen the posters. We've heard the buzz. Do you feel like you have a firm grasp on what even the concept of Five Nights at Freddy's is? Do you get it?
I actually do, and I'm not a gamer, and I am a generation older than you. Of course, I'm Gen X, you're millennial, so it's confusing as to why I would know and you wouldn't, but it is and correct me if I'm wrong here, Danny, after I'm finished speaking. This is a video game where you are spending the night at a Chuck E. Cheese type restaurant where the animatronics come to life and try to kill you. It's a horror video game that young people probably still play, and I know that they have played it for years, where they do it in groups and they scare the bejesus out of each other while playing this game.
So did he get it?
That's correct. No explanations, but that's correct. He got it. He got it. He popped off. He got it. He got it.
What is your personal history with Five Nights at Freddy's? When did you experience it, and how important is it to your life as a gamer?
Well, I'll say this to your surprising and to all want to be a boys, girls, and people. I'm not a fan of that series. I'm not.
Wow.
I haven't. But here's what I'll know.
Okay.
I know my little young brother loves the hell out of that game, the series for sure. And it's popular among gamers around the world, even kids, surprisingly. It's a huge, huge IP for a franchise like this. And believe it or not, it's nowhere near as Mario or any other video game IPs. But this, for a horror, this is huge. Definitely one of a kind.
So it's a game that just personally hasn't clicked with you. Was it too scary? Are you not a horror?
I'm not a horror guy like this who gets jump scared 24/7. I'm okay getting jump scared in movies, but like video games all the time, nah, it's not my biz.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. I do play other horror video games, but not like something like this.
Got it. Okay.
I definitely know the history and the IP behind it, so believe it or not.
Okay.
So this is so Clayton, have you heard this from, younger people that you're around? Is this a truly scary game? People try and scare themselves by playing Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, and I think we said in a previous episode, I think this is like for the young generation, like Danny said, the younger sibling, this is their first introduction to like getting scared and it being fun. And willingly doing that. And I think that is looking like it's going to translate into a phenomenon at the box office with these tracking numbers keep going up and up and up.
I mean, they've been going up
Unbelievable.
since the summer.
To the point, I mean, before tracking even dropped, and I'm gonna bang this drum, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I deserve it. When Exorcist, thank you, Danny. That's why you got to subscribe to YouTube, because Danny patted himself on the back.
Yep.
And was patting me by proxy.
Yep.
I said this movie was going to open bigger than The Exorcist, which it will. I mean, the slam doink that it will.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that it will make more domestically than The Exorcist Believer as a day and date. I mean, and that is going to happen. It's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I didn't go out on a limb and say this is going to make $80 million or $90 million or in that ballpark where, you know, Kirk Minahan, Podcast Jesus, on the last episode said, do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. And said, what did he say? 80, 90? What was his?
I think he said 85.
He said 90, I'm sure.
He said 85 or 90. That is thoroughly possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe so.
This weekend. Yeah.
I believe so.
The lead, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, the lead evil animatronic in this series is a beaver, right? The beaver is the head of the evil animatronic.
It's a bear. It's a bear.
It's a bear. Is Freddy one of the characters? Is Freddy?
That's correct.
Okay. Is Freddy the bear?
Yes, he's the bear.
Okay, he is bear.
Absolutely the bear.
How high in the ranking of animatronics is the beaver? Is the beaver one of the chief lieutenants of Freddy?
I don't know the beaver, but there's other animatronics, but I don't think there's a beaver in this movie. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Pat, where are you getting a beaver? Are you looking at what website are you on?
I'm looking at a website that's talking about beavers. And
is it a parody website?
It could be. Okay.
Is it? Listen, I don't want to be crass. Is it Five Nights in Freddy?
Okay. So here's the thing. I'm looking at a Wikipedia for Five Nights at Freddy's. The beaver was a main character in the creator of the game's previous game, the family-friendly Chipper and Sons Lumber Company. Okay. So that's why we've got to have our gaming expert on, because I was about to go on for a half hour about how the lead character of Five Nights at Freddy's is a beaver. We've never had a hit beaver before. Zombievers was not a success at the box office, but it's a bear. So now, that having said, Freddy is a bear. This has been a great year already for scary bears at the box office.
Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Absolutely fun movie.
I mean, Cocaine Bear was huge. And I mean, I'll throw it out there. If this is a hit, which we feel like it's going to be a huge hit, what does this do for bears at the box office to have both a Cocaine Bear and this Freddy Bear, you know, within the same year, just dominate the horror box office? This is big for bears.
Yeah. I mean, zombies had their run. Vampires had their run.
Right.
Now it's, you know, step aside, evil bears.
Vampires had their run. And I mean, after the last voyage of the Demeter, it's a bad time to be and Renfield. It's a bad time to be a vampire at the box office. But being a bear is a great gig. Tell us about this character, Danny. Is Freddy the Bear in Five Nights at Freddy's? Is he wisecracking? Is he? I mean, to invoke the name of the other horror Freddy. Is he like a Freddy Krueger type character that he's got a lot of puns? He's playful when he kills. What is the appeal of Freddy the Bear?
So he's nowhere like as Freddy Krueger, but yeah, he is like a top major character villain in the series and possibly all video game villains.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't like usually. I don't know if he speaks or not. I'm not. Again, I've never played the series a lot, but forgive me if I don't sound very expert at the Five Nights phrase. I'm not, but I'm just excited for this IP. But yeah, he is a crack appealing to like as villains, you know, video game wise, villains wise. Yeah, he's appealing like that, you know.
Yeah, he's
a leader
with the war. He's a leader. That's interesting because he's got a band of animals with him. He's a leader. So wow, Danny putting Freddy the Bear from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Freddy Fazbear is his full name, by the way.
Freddy Fazbear. So he's up there with your Wario's, with your Bowser's, with your Dr. Robotnik's in terms of just, huge video game villain IP.
Yes.
Um,
One of them.
Leisure Suit Larry, he never had a movie, right, Clayton?
No, and he
I feel like
was
he could hang out within this Five Nights at Freddy IP. Like I could see Leisure Suit Larry walking into this restaurant.
It is funny how times change and culture moves because he was the hero of his game
Right.
when it came out, and now he is most definitely the villain. You could not have a Leisure Suit Larry movie that was faithful to the IP if he was not the enemy, the villain.
He can't be who we're rooting for.
No.
This is probably before your time, Danny. Do you know of the Leisure Suit Larry video game IP?
No, never been familiar with it at all.
Okay, that's probably for the best. It's probably for the best. He was like a Lothario type.
Yes.
And the games would be about trying to get him to score. And to score.
Yeah.
We know what that means. So Five Nights at Freddy's is set in a Chuck E. Cheese type establishment. What is your, Danny, as a young person, a young gamer, what is your relationship to the real life Chuck E. Cheese franchise? Does that mean anything to you, to people your age? Is this something that younger people want to watch a movie set in a Chuck E. Cheese setting?
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese and a Chuck E. Cheese parody to Five Nights at Freddy's is a good concept for the whole series. It's like a good idea to put a supernatural type of like moment, or sorry, man, I'm just spilling beans. I'm just trying to say what's coming in my head, but you know what I mean. Like
you're here to spill beans on the air with the BO boys.
Yeah.
Half baked. Spill the beans. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I know. I'm running out of ideas, but it's the setting. Look, is a very cool concept, and people would like to see something like this in a movie. It's based on the video game to this movie like that. It's like very good concept. It really does.
Clayton, are you a Chuck E. Cheese person?
It just proves that you listen a good amount of the time, I will say, but you don't listen all the time, because I told you a traumatic story about when I went to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, and the mouse, Chuck E. Cheese, Chuck E. himself, went to hug me, poked me in the eye with his thumb.
Right. I think it's so traumatic. I try to forget.
That is traumatic.
How do you think I feel? I've lived with this trauma my whole life now.
And that's got to be a dirty thumb, that Chuck E. Cheese costume thumb. It's one of those things where it's too big to wash one of those costumes, so they just go years and years without ever touching soap and water.
I still remember what it felt like, what it looked like. It was so gray and dirty and matted down. And I mean, I would rather use a Times Square Elmo costume as a bath towel, than have been touched at all, let alone poked in the eye by this Chuck E. Cheese costume from a Chuck E. Cheese outside of Pittsburgh, in the suburbs of it. Not even a metropolitan Pittsburgh Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
This was Booney's Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. There's no health inspectors visiting that Chuck E. Cheese looking at that costume.
No.
Thumb.
No. This guy got out of that costume and then got into his barrel.
Yes.
That was his home and his walking around clothes.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about.
And his bathroom.
And his bath. It's everything.
That barrel's everything to that man in the mouse costume who poked you in the eye. Did you ever go to a Chuck E. Cheese again after that incident?
Never. In fact, we almost were going to go in high school as a goof.
Right.
And I made some excuse not to do it.
Wow.
So
that's thank you for sharing your truth.
Thank you.
Once again. And probably
glad to hear the truth.
Yes.
I'm just going to snap for myself.
Yes. You earned that snap. Danny, now
thank you, Danny.
I'll also snap.
Thank you.
There we go. So that's the thing with Chuck E. Cheese as a setting, is so many people of all ages do probably have traumatic, horrible experiences with whether it's a character touching them inappropriately, whether it's something happening in the ball pit, whether it is just the pizza itself, which is very bad.
Yeah.
Very bad pizza. So everyone has these sense memories of a horrible Chuck E. Cheese experience. That's what you want out of a horror film.
Yeah.
You want to go somewhere that you're pre-scared of. Danny was so scared of Chuck E. Cheese that he never went to one, and he couldn't play the game.
Actually, wasn't afraid of Chuck E. Cheese, but the last time I've been there was since 2019. That's the last time I've been to Chuck E. Cheese, but I'm not like traumatized or anything. But
Okay.
I can sense that to some people, and Clayton told us a very good truth about that. That's something people will love to see, and people that have been through will like to see it. So
Right.
Yeah, because imagine if that rat
And that's what he
had spinning saw blades coming out of its tummy
or its mouth, usually.
or its mouth.
Its mouth.
Absolutely.
So this the rat in Five Nights at Freddy's has a saw mouth.
Well,
I
no
saw that from a trailer. Usually, I saw that trailer for that kind of kill, but like maybe from the mouth, but not like from a rat.
Right.
Something like what any of those animatronics have.
So it's a scary setting. It's got Danny is not a player of this particular game, but as a gamer, you are aware of the popularity, the power of this game. Danny, could you talk a little bit about, are you aware of the YouTubers and the game reviewers who spend a lot of time talking at Five Nights at Freddy's? Because we've heard that. We heard that Kirk Minahan was on our last episode. He said his son not only plays the game, but is a fan of watching YouTubers talk about the game, playthroughs of the game. What is the sort of culture that you're aware of around playing this game? Do you know friends who watch YouTube videos about playing this game? What is that? What is that culture like?
The culture is like the aware of streamers. Streamers on Twitch usually will play a game like this. I know particularly one person. No, I don't watch the whole lot of streamers on Twitch that plays it, but one particular guy did play one of the games from the series. He goes by the name Joe something, but so, that's one of them. He played one of the newest Five Nights at Freddy's games, and he talked about it too and such. So yeah, it is definitely popular in Twitch days when the game was like popular in the IP, pretty much.
Now, just to clarify, Pat, I am on Five Nights at Freddy's wiki.
Okay.
Freddy Fazbear is the main one. He's a bear. Bonnie looks like to be a purple female bear.
Oh, great.
Don't know if that's what their relationship is.
Right. Could be brother and sister. It could be more.
Could be a Sam Diane situation. Chica, I think it's Chica.
It's Chica.
Chica, who is a chick, as in a baby chicken.
Got it.
And Foxy, who is
a fox.
Thank you, Danny.
What does a fox say? Foxy.
Oh, is that coming back?
I just throw a punchline or something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're in touch, Danny. You're in touch with the youngins. What does the fox say could be the new TikTok song that takes off?
Yeah,
it's possible, but those look like the main characters. There's all these other ones that I don't know if are actually going to show
up.
And
there's one more. There's Cupcake. Cupcake is one of those characters in the movie, and I'm sure from the game.
Okay, all right. And I see Pig Patch, which is a pig, Mr. Hippo, Happy Frog, Ned Bear, Orville Elephant. Who knows? It looks like a deep bench.
Right. It's like, I mean, they're setting up, because this is going to be a hit and this is going to be a franchise. They're setting up their rogues gallery. They're setting up their, the same way Batman villains would carry that franchise. You're setting up the next 2, 3, Five Nights at Freddy's movies.
Freddy is this universe's Joker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But they're doing the smart thing what Batman 89 did of get him in there in the first movie. Don't make us wait for Freddy. Five Nights at Freddy's, and then Freddy is teased at the end of the first movie of the sequel. Freddy's in right from the start.
Well, because we're always ready for Freddy.
Yeah. Here's something that I'm seeing here is Dave and Buster's it was just announced that Dave and Buster's is going to have a partnership with Blumhouse and Universal Pictures to do 5 weeks of exclusive deals, each inspired by the film's animatronics. Trading cards released each week, power cards. So I don't know if that is already in effect, but that's a powerful partnership for this type of movie, because I think Chuck E. Cheese's are kind of out of business at this point. I don't know if there's still a growing concern.
There's still one around me, but like nowhere near close, but like somewhere a little from like local down.
Okay.
I feel like there's one Chuck E. Cheese in my area. I don't know. I never heard of them going out of business in my state, Michigan, by the way.
Got it. But
Pat, there's one in downtown Brooklyn.
It's still there. The one.
Yes.
The one. I feel like, though, Dave and Buster's is the one you want to be, even though Five Nights at Freddy's is a Chuck E. Cheese parody. Dave and Buster's is who you actually want to be in business with these days.
Mm-hmm.
The gamers, they show UFC. That's where the people actually go now.
Although I don't know what their height was, but as of August 2023, there are 568 corporate and franchise locations of Chuck E. Cheese's.
Wow.
So, but they could be downsized. Like, I don't know if they're as expansive or as, they don't.
There might have been 5,000.
Yeah. And some of them might, and I don't know, do they all even have the animatronics, or is it just a shell of what it used to be? Is it just a pizza place with a cardboard cutout of Chucky?
So that is actually the thing I've heard, is that's what's being phased out of the Chuck E. Cheese's, is most of them at this point do not have the animatronics anymore. They are simply pizza places that maybe have a ball pit, maybe have some video games, but a
kid's birthday party on top of that.
Right. But I do think the animatronic aspect of Chuck E. Cheese has been phased out.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you look at this movie coming out, it's got the gaming thing. Let's look at this in terms of the year of the gamer so far. Danny was here for the Super Mario episode. Gran Turismo didn't do what people hoped to do.
Don't cut this shit. Listen, the strike is the reason why. The strike's the reason why it fucked up the domestic numbers. Don't put this out like it didn't do shit. Blame it on the strike. Blame it on Sony. Blame it on the studios. That's all I gotta say, and that's what I've been wanting to say to you guys. Period. Do not talk shit on this movie. It's a great movie. You know it. Neil Blomkamp directed the fuck out of this movie after his comeback. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut this shit.
Don't be
just
sorry.
Hurted me. It just hurted me.
Don't you dare be sorry.
The last movie I saw was Gran Turismo, and I'm sorry to say this. It was the last movie, and I didn't see shit because, well, long story. I'm going to talk about this at the end, but that movie's so good, but the strike is the reason why it affected the awareness. Putting this in screenings is a batshit idea. I knew this was not going to work, and I will admit it cheated the box office at #1. I agree.
Yeah.
Period. Sorry.
Wow.
Danny,
it's raw feed. Go ahead.
Yes. I love this passion from you. I love to see the youth of America get excited about a movie in this way, to see a movie that you think is great not do well at the box office. Of course you should be mad.
Yes.
Because we all know box office results are how quality of movies is judged. And people are going to think this is a bad movie because it did poorly. And it's unfair.
And I'll tell you, cutting that shit with the passion that you cut it. This was a movie I didn't see in the theater, Gran Turismo, based on a true game.
It's a nice movie. You don't got to play the games. It's based on a true story.
Based on a true story.
You wanted it to be called Based on a True Gamer. That was
I wanted it to be called.
That was your idea.
Yeah.
But it was a rebrand.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo, based on a true story. I did not see this film when it was in theaters. And honestly, after that box office, I kind of felt like I'll never have to see this film. But after the way you just cut that shit, Danny, I will make it my business to watch this movie before I die.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a lot sooner than that. Like once it's on streaming, I will.
I have the game. And I've been playing it. I got this game early this year, too. Just to be ready.
Hashtag justice for Gran Turismo.
Now, Danny,
the fault of the strike.
While we're on the topic, no
apologize. You cut that shit. You came on here as our resident gamer and you stood up for Gran Turismo.
For all the people who didn't see this movie, it is a movie about a gamer who got so good at playing Gran Turismo that he became an actual race car driver.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you a question, Danny. If the same situation happened to you, because you've played that game, this isn't a Five Nights at Freddy's situation. This is you have played Gran Turismo and you love this game. If they came to your door tomorrow and at a reasonable hour, I'm not saying like 6 a.m. You're not going to make a decision at 6 a.m.
Yeah. 9:30 after breakfast.
After breakfast. And they said, hey, we want you to hop in a car and be a race car driver. Would you be scared or would you be excited?
I would be excited. It's like same thing if I was very good at Smash Brothers, which is my favorite fighting game. The same thing, they would come to me and ask me to something like
Be
just
a
to join
brother.
a team. Yeah,
Same
yeah,
team.
something like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
If
just
a
an
stranger
example.
came to your door and was like, come and smash, you would say, I'm in.
I'm in.
All right.
It would be if a construction company knocked on your door and said, tomorrow we have to take down a building because we're gonna put a new building in that same spot. We need the greatest smashers in the world. You would come there and you would sign up and you would smash a building to smithereens.
I don't think that's what Smash Brothers is. You're thinking of Rampage.
Well, they smash each other. They
Yeah.
fight. It's a more like a
Yeah.
tournament smashing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to apply it to a real world, a real world use, because I don't think they would have a use for someone to hit someone else with like a turtle shell.
Well, I
guess then it would be UFC. If
Yeah,
the
I was
UFC
going to
if
say
the U-
UFC.
If the UFC
Yeah.
came to your door, Danny, because you're such a great Super Smash Brothers player, and said, we want you to be an MMA fighter based on your Smash Brothers skills, you would say yes.
I would, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
I'd be doing for sure.
Yeah, and it that makes me want to see this Gran Turismo movie. I
But
gotta find it.
That was but that's, Danny is a brave man, as we know from coming on this podcast, from speaking his truth about Gran Turismo. He's a brave man. I don't know if all gamers are as brave as you, and that's why I think this movie didn't do well, because I think the idea of somebody snatching someone out of their gaming chair and putting them in an actual car, a race car that goes vroom vroom really fast and could possibly kill you, is a terrifying prospect and not an exciting prospect for a lot of the nation's youth. That's why I think this didn't do well, because it wasn't something they're aspiring to. They don't want to actually race cars. They want to race virtual cars all day. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing.
It's the awareness. It's the awareness. Come on. It's the awareness. It's not the concept. It's the strike. It's not just the idea of this movie. It's
So
the
Danny,
truth. You guys were hiding that. That's all I'm saying.
We did, I don't know if we were hiding it. We just weren't able to vocalize it as passionately as you did.
Yep.
Now, Danny, you're mentioning the strike. And of course, if you listen, I am a member of SAG in very bad standing.
Yeah.
It's only getting worse.
It's getting fucking worse. The meeting's tonight as we speak.
I got a letter in the mail, but we won't talk about that. Danny, I want to give you this forum. Fran Drescher, president of SAG, if you could say something to her about this strike, what would you say? I mean, obviously keep it clean, but keep it clean.
Keep fighting.
Because it could be something
keep
that
fighting. Keep fighting for your rights. So we all can get back to normal.
Continue it.
Yeah, continue it until the studios finally lose money and will admit that their movies, the theaters will go out of business. And movie studios do not love to see that.
Wow.
Unless they give a shit about streaming. That's it. But I hope not to be considered.
That's great, because Danny, he obviously wants this strike to end. He obviously wants stars to be able to promote their movies to go into production. But his advice to Fran Drescher is still fight for your rights, because Danny is with the working man.
Love it.
Love it. A gamer
Absolutely.
with the working man. That's the future right there.
Yeah.
The gamers and the working man on the same side, nothing could stop them. So you're talking about stars for movies. What about the stars of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, obviously, the IP itself and this Freddy Fazbear, Freddy Fazbear, that's the real star. But in terms of these actors, do we think any of these people mean anything? The names that you would recognize here are Josh Hutcherson, who of course was the non-Hemsworth love interest in those Hunger Games movies. I feel like, is that probably the best way to describe who Josh Hutcherson is?
I think so.
I guess so.
Right? He's the non-Hemsworth in the Hunger Games movies. You've also got Mary Stuart Masterson, which to Gen Xers like myself and Clayton, I think she means something. And then you've got Matthew Lillard is in this film. So Matthew Lillard plays Steve Ragian, Mike's career counselor. So he's the career counselor of Josh Hutcherson. Josh Hutcherson is a security guard at Freddy's. Will Matthew Lillard help this box office? And will this box office help Matthew Lillard's career? I'll throw it to you, Danny. Does Matthew Lillard mean jack all to you?
He's known for Stumacher and Scream. He's known for Shaggy. I don't know him particularly everywhere else, but I guess for people that enjoys these movies, him in his movies, yeah, fans at least. I don't think he's a major star, but I think the fans would love to see and come out to see this movie for him in such way.
I love that. I mean, you nailed it on terms of his two big characters. Obviously, he was also in those Freddie Prinze Jr. rom-coms, the late 90s, early 2000s, but that's Matthew Lillard. Those are his two big parts. He's Shaggy in Scooby-Doo, and he is Schumacher in the Scream movies. So I love that a young person knows those two big Matthew Lillard parts. And so that makes me think Matthew Lillard, if not a draw, he's going to be a welcome presence to this young gamer audience. Clayton, obviously Matthew Lillard means a lot to you.
He means the world to me.
Guy. So who do you think he helps this movie?
He helps this movie when it comes to Gen X parents, I think. And I'm not a parent, but I am Gen X. Right. And I think
as am I.
Scream means a lot to a lot of people. And when this movie, I thought, was going to be just shunted off to Peacock when it first was announced, because it was announced day and date a long time ago.
I was going to say shit. What the fuck were they thinking, man?
Well, hold on one second. What the fuck were they doing? The reason I was excited and was like, I will watch this movie is because Matthew Lillard is in it. Now it's a must watch because it's going to be a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
But
absolutely.
I think, Danny, and to answer what you were speaking on right there, is that I think the quality of this movie might be in question.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They did that with Halloween Ends, which is pretty obvious.
Yeah, exactly. And they thought, let's just do what we do with Halloween Ends. Also, Austin, wannabe oh boy Austin, had a great take on this, is that they want to be able to put this thing on PVOD at in a reasonable amount of time. So they're like, if we do day and date, it'll cut into the box office, and therefore we will be able to release this on PVOD in a smaller window. Because if this thing makes $80 million or $100 million or $75 million, they will have to wait they'll have to wait longer to put this thing on PVOD.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I think at that point, they don't care about waiting to put it on PVOD because they're actually making a ton of money at the box office. It is interesting to remember that even when Universal puts stuff on Peacock, they still do put it on PVOD.
Yeah. So, yeah. And not there's people who just refuse to get another streaming service.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, so let's talk the day and date aspect. I think, and I think we're all probably somewhere along these lines, the Peacock day and date won't matter.
No.
Because so few people have Peacock, and so few people who have Peacock even realize they have Peacock, because so many people get it through your cable company gives it to you for free, or you start a new job and they threw that in there as a employee benefit. You get health insurance, you get Peacock, and people don't even realize they have Peacock. Like it's not going to be a huge customer base that watches it there instead. It's not day and date on Netflix, and it's not day and date on Disney Plus. It's day and date on a service that people don't really watch and people don't realize they have. So do either of you think the Peacock day and date is going to really cut in? Like, what is it worth? If this was not day and date on Peacock, do you think there's an extra 10 million on the table? I don't think it's that much.
No, I
think a little.
You go, Danny. You go, Danny.
A little 3 to 5 million on the table will be taken in without the Peacock. A little more, not to go above in expectations, you know?
Yeah, because Peacock has, I think it's 20 million subscribers or so. So of that, yeah, I think there's a small percentage that would have seen this movie in theaters and instead are going to choose to watch it at home. And there's also, and Clinton, you could speak to this, it's a horror movie and people want to watch horror in the theater with other people, even if they could watch it for free at home.
It's not just a horror movie, though, Pat. It's a happening, man.
Right.
It's a happening. That is the thing. This is youth-driven.
Right.
And this is what I always say. When the shut-ins on the internet write these articles about how theaters are dying and everybody wants everything at home and all this stuff, it's because they want to stay at home. They don't like being around people, blah, blah, blah. It's a myopic view. If you're a young person, you want to be where the people are. Yep. You want to hang out with your friends away from your parents. This is what we all forget. This is what all these bloggers forget, is that they don't have parents they have to worry about being away from. They have their apartments or whatever. They have their own spaces. Kids need a place to go where they can say, we're going here for 3 hours. And a movie theater is a public place. It's not, we're going to Sam's house and they're like, oh, are you going to get loaded? This is a movie theater. They know what, listen, if they're going to bring in a little schnapps or whatever in the book bag, that's what these kids can choose to do. But a parent's going to let you go to a movie theater with a bunch of your friends because it's a public space and they know what you're going to be doing, at least for part of that time. Kids need to get away from their parents. They will go to the theater, even though they could stay home and watch Peacock. Even if they have their own, they have their laptop in their room, they want to be around other people their age. That is what's going to drive this movie, is young people that don't want to stay home on a Saturday or a Friday watching Peacock.
Yep. And then I think the day and date on Peacock is fine, because I do think this is a movie that people will see in the theater and then watch scenes of it again when they get home. I do think that this is a movie that will legitimately, to whatever degree Peacock could be helped at this point, will help Peacock a little bit. Some people will get it or realize they have Peacock because they want to go home and rewatch some cool scenes, some cool kills from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Now, I think that's the question that we've had, and we've had this for a long time. We've mentioned it anytime there was the day and date movies, is even if people on the opening night and the opening weekend go to the theater, does this cut into the rewatch value, the return to the theater, which makes something a huge hit? Those, like, obviously this is going to be Titanic, or it could be, who knows? But Titanic was, I go again and again and again. Avatar is, I go again and again and again. And this is a movie that, yes, you want to be around your other kids your age, but then you also have your close-knit friends that, you guys went on Friday and then on Saturday you all go in the den and you watch this movie again and you fast forward to the great kills or whatever it is, and then you go and do whatever you're going to do instead of, we got to go back to the theater again.
Yeah, I do think I think you're right. I think the day and date hurts the second weekend way more than it hurts the first weekend.
Legs wise.
Yeah, it definitely hurts the legs, because there will be people who would have maybe went to see it again that won't, and then some people who they tell their friends, oh, I like this, and instead of then that friend going, they just watch it together on Peacock. I think that it doesn't really matter for this opening weekend, but yeah, I think this, and listen, this is a movie that probably, unless it's way better than we're expecting, the legs were going to not be great on this anyway.
And even if it does make 80, like, I think people are going out of their heads, right? And we'll get to our numbers.
Yeah, we'll get to those.
Say this thing makes 45.
Right.
That's insane.
Yes.
That's so, that's more than Megan.
Megan, it's, listen, Cocaine Bear was a success that opens to 23. Megan was a success that opened to 30. So this movie making 45, 50 million, it's basically making what Cocaine Bear and Megan open to combined. I mean, that's yes, 80 million would be insane. This movie does not need to open to 80 million to be a giant success.
And we talk about the sea change in the theaters this year. Kirk mentioned it last episode. We've been talking about it all year. This is such a huge deal because if this movie opens to 50 or 60 or 70 at the budget that it was made at.
Yep.
And the IP acquisition price, which we don't know what it is, maybe we can look that up for next episode. It wasn't $400 million.
Right. It was an Exorcist acquisition.
Right. And those old crusty IPs are dying. They are dead. Indiana Jones is going to be on the block for pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
And this IP, Five Nights at Freddy's, will have a sequel. Yep. It could be a franchise.
It will be a franchise for sure.
Right.
I feel like once the response.
I can't. It's got to be that the acquisition of this IP, which was a hot IP, and it was a movie that people were waiting for. There's built up anticipation for this movie, but there's no way it cost them $400 million.
No,
of course
in
not.
any aspect of acquiring this, making this movie, or continuing to use this IP.
Here's the thing: if tomorrow we were having a draft.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we're not going to do a draft because we're not a ringer podcast, so we're not going to do a draft. But if we were to do a draft,
I think that deserves a
If we were to do a draft of IP to make movies out of, and every IP in the world was thrown into this draft, you would absolutely have to draft the Five Nights at Freddy IP ahead of Indiana Jones, ahead of Transformers. You know, it's a no-brainer at this point that something like Five Nights at Freddy's and these other game IPs are more valuable than these crusty old IPs from movies that started being made in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. That is the sea change now of what matters and what doesn't matter. Last thing on stars here, Josh Hutcherson, does he matter being in this? I feel like he's someone who might be a welcome face to think of the ages of the people who are the prime demo for this. You know, you're 18 to say 28.
Hunger Games
was like their childhood.
Yeah.
And so I think Josh Hutcherson is the perfect B movie level actor to be the lead in this. I think he's just a pleasant, very recognizable face. You know, it's like him or like Rupert Grint. And I think Josh Hutcherson's a better choice than Rupert Grint to be the lead of this type of movie.
Oh, 100%.
I agree.
Yeah. So, and not that Rupert Grint he likes riding around his ice cream truck, so good for him. But he's the type of guy from one of those franchises that you could throw in here, and he doesn't have to be that good of an actor, but just be recognizable to people who grew up with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they've got a good cast for this type of low budget movie. It appeals to different age groups. So anything else that we haven't touched on regarding Freddy's before we get into our predictions? I mean, I feel like we've covered all the aspects of this heading into opening weekend. Anything else, or should we get into our top 5 predictions?
I feel like we covered everything. I think we're ready to go to the numbers.
Wow. All right, let's do it then. So Danny, you're the guest, meaning you get the choice. Would you like
I'll go second. Second.
It's a popular slot.
Everyone, the guests love predicting second. Clay, do you want to go first or last?
I'll go last.
All right.
I'll be anticlimactic.
So then here we go. Obviously, number 1 at the box office is going to be Five Nights at Freddy's. And my God, I mean, Kirk Minahan went 90 million. And in the end, I hope he's right, but I'm going to go with a Cocaine Bear plus a Megan, which would come out to 53 million. That is my prediction for this. It is so hard for me to fathom this movie opening to more than Cocaine Bear plus Megan. It'll be amazing if it does. God, I hope so. But I'm gonna go 53 million. So then number 2. Here is where it gets a little interesting.
It gets interesting because there's 2 popular actor against a singer actress.
So I'm gonna go for it, and I know especially some we'll get to it. You know, there's some YouTube followers of us who might think that I'm just all in the tank for Marty here when I say my next prediction. I think Killers of the Flower Moon is going to be number 2.
Wow.
I think that, and it's gotta hold well because it's a movie that's built around having legs. Last weekend it made 23 million. So a 50% drop would be 11.5 million. I think it's going to have a better hold than that. I think it's going to make about $13 million, maybe 14. That means number 3, I think Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the movie, is going to have a really big drop. You know, third weekend of this, with that audience, I think is going to heavily be invested in going to Five Nights at Freddy's. I think Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, has another huge drop, and I think it drops to like 12 million. I think it's a squeaker, but I think Killers is number 2. Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the movie, is number 3. And then I think at number 4 is going to be Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. And then number 5, I'm going Saw X. I think Exorcist Believer finally does fall pretty hard this weekend, falls out of the top 5. So I'm fully going nuts here. So just to recap, my top 5 is going to be Freddy's opening to 53, then Killers of Flower Moon, then Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, then Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, and Saw X number 5.
Guys, I hate to throw a wrench into this so late in the game.
There's
and
another movie opening.
Not just another movie. It's a Angel Studios movie.
Oh, boy.
And they're running the same scam. It is a pay it forward movie called After Death. And I'm looking at the website, and they are 85% to their goal of pre-sales. It looks like 142,000 plus tickets have been sold already for After Death. It's happening again.
So that's like a $10 million opening?
No way.
Well, Sound of Freedom open to 19. Okay, officially on the numbers.
A documentary, though.
After Death. Wait a minute.
After Death.
I'm looking at it right now.
Pre-sales. These are tickets already sold. So if you multiply that number by $10 a ticket, we're looking at least what? 14 million?
Oh my God.
So
I'm seeing the pre-sales.
It's going to be top 5.
Wow.
It could be number 2. I mean, it's possible if everything drops. I mean, do you want to change your answer right now, Pat?
I'm gonna go with the information I had at the time I made the prediction. So that is my top 5.
I'm not going to use it either. Because I never even heard of this at all. But yeah,
you'll hear about it on Monday's episode.
So let's go then to Danny giving us your top 5. Of course, the most important thing is the prediction of Freddy's. So
okay, so slam doink, it's Five Nights at Freddy's at the Cribs box office. Look, the biggest, I want to touch base on the last biggest opening Blumhouse which was Halloween in 2018, made like 70 something million.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna beat that. I'm going 84.
Yes.
84, baby. And I think it's nowhere gonna be your 90 because the Peacock thing. But 84 sounds like a thing, and it could pass Oppenheimer as a Universal film, which was the biggest of the release. So I'm sensing it could beat Halloween for sure.
Wow.
So 84 for number 1.
I love it.
And number 2, look, Killers of the Flower Moon does not have awareness. I don't think it's going to be enough despite word of mouth. Look, you need awareness for this movie to go out and promote this. So number 2 is Taylor Swift. In this bitch, because she went out there and promotes this by going to watch Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. Yeah. I think it's going to be number 2. And I think fans might come back to see it, or who knows, people might try to see it. Either way, I don't know. I'm going Taylor Swift for sure. Number 3 is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon. Number 4 is going to be, Paw Patrol and Saw X number 5. Exorcist drops like a fucking cliff. Down.
Wow.
And it should have been a day-to-date release. It's a shit movie.
That should have been your day and date.
Yeah, 100%. You swap those. If you swap Five Nights and that's a good business model. But
you know what? An Exorcist would have been the type of movie. I think that would have lost even more money at the box office, because the people who have Peacock and know they have Peacock are also the older viewers who are like, they went to go see The Exorcist in the theater, but if they had the option to watch it for free at home on Peacock, a service they're already watching their, Bravo TV shows on, they would have just stayed home. So yeah, that would have really hurt Exorcist Believer. But I love the boldness of 84 million for Five Nights at Freddy's. That's what you come to the show to do.
You can't blame people for betting on Exorcist over Five Nights at Freddy's, because even in the best of times, nobody knows anything. As the great William Goldman said, R.I.P.
Well, Clayton, what do you know?
Well, I know slam doink number 1, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yep.
Now, this is tough because, again, we are in uncharted territory here with this. People are going all over the map. We're still trying to see what is hype and what is not. Are all these play-alongs going to equal ticks? Do Twitches equal ticks is the question. When people love an IP, then they do, right? If it's Morbius, then it doesn't. This is not a Morbius situation, obviously. The 80, that to me just feels so high. And Pat, what did you say?
I went 53. I said
I'm going to go
plus Megan
in the middle, and I'm going to say 65.
Okay.
Because I think that would be spectacular. And for my number 2, I'm going to go where you both are too ignorant to go. Okay? After Death, slam doink number 2.
Wow.
Because the pre-sales are there. This isn't a Taylor Swift situation where we don't know if these are foreign pre-sales, blah, 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 blah. The proof is in the pudding, and it's on the website. All right? Those 142,000 tickets are money in the bank.
You can't blame me because I haven't found out till last minute. So
I told you before you picked. You decided not to. Here's the thing. That money, nobody even has to be in those theaters, and this movie is going to make $17 million at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I'm going to go for it. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the Taylor Swift moment is over. We're in spooky season. We are in serious film season. It's a movie that's a long, serious film, an autumnal film. It is going to be number 3. Number 4 is Taylor Swift. And number 5 will be Paw Patrol, because the rats need their cheese.
Even stale cheese after it came out a month ago. I mean,
doesn't matter. Puppies, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
So
can't complain there.
That is some bold predictions all around. I think every one of these top 5s was interesting in their own way. And yeah, this After Death was a monkey wrench. And I'm looking at their Angel Studio site. And it is, I got to say,
look at you. You're changing your mind.
No, I'm not changing my top 5, but
I got to research this.
I am going to say there is something satisfying about the way they do it. And they show you a customer just bought a ticket in Memphis. A customer just bought a ticket in San Antonio, and they just update it constantly. As I have no interest in this film, but I have such interest in the embeddable ticket counter on the Angel Studios website.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Taylor Swift would have done this maneuver, that movie would have made $200 million. a pay it forward system for other Swifties,
I know.
less fortunate
yeah.
Swifties, I would have, and I'm not a Swiftie, and I've said this, I would have bought tickets for underprivileged young women to go see this film.
I think with the pay it forward, there is and listen, we've talked about how there's scam aspects to the Taylor Swift the Eras Tour, the movie.
But it would have been a
Right.
scam on a scam.
It would have been, and when we say
Too many
scam, we
scams.
don't mean that as an insult.
No.
We love everything Taylor Swift did
Respect.
in this movie. Respect it. But I do think she's always got to be careful about her reputation and doing something that Angel Studios and Sound of Freedom just did a few months ago. Probably not the best look for the reputation of Taylor Swift. So I'm sure that 100% that idea was floated to her team within her team. And that's my guess. And I think I'm right about it.
Yeah.
And they said, we
can't be that.
We can't be that.
Okay.
Even if it would have helped the box office, she's got to think about more than just this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So those are our predictions. What a weekend this is going to be.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Danny, you talked about how this is your comeback film for both you and your podcast. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what listeners of I Screen, You Scream for
Number 4,
the movies, what listeners can expect possibly in regards to Five Nights at Freddy's.
So I haven't been to the movies, like I said, since Gran Turismo, and I've been down this fall from movie going from like low down. It's because they delayed Dune. It was my most second anticipated film.
Right.
I was so upset. The strike's been killing me to anticipate. I was going to go see other films last month, but I completely turned them down just to wait on something. I was going to wait till the Marvels next month, which we all know it's going to stink, by the way.
Right.
But seeing Five Nights at Freddy's, because can we give a shout out to Blumhouse and Universal real quick? They promoted this movie unlike the actors couldn't. They cared about this movie despite the quality, because that what attracted me to come to see this movie for a reason. And as a gamer, I have to. So as a gamer, I wanted to see it. So I said, I even did a poll on Twitter. I'm going to see this movie 100%. So yeah, this will be my comeback for my podcast, I Screen, You Scream for Movies. I can't wait to get this. So obviously it's a podcast, nothing major, but movie reviews and some business movie topics sometimes. So it's nothing but chill session, you know? That's what my show is all about. To all the wannabe boys, girls, and people. And the Swifties, the Barstoolies, the Kirk Manahan fans. That's what you all can expect my show to be. So I appreciate anyone can follow and subscribe to my show if you all want to check out my analyst of Five Nights at Freddy's, as well as I will be reviewing a couple films next month. I got Marvels, I got Hunger Games, I got Thanksgiving.
You're back.
And
so
yeah, I'm coming
back. You're thinking you're back.
I'm back. But 2024 is going to be in shambles if the strikes is not resolved. And there could be a lot of pushings going on. So
that is true. So let's enjoy these next few months while there are still movies in the hopper. And you named some good ones. So I'm looking forward to this run of I Screen, You Scream for number 4 movies. We'll have the link to your podcast in our show notes of this
episode. If you guys can leave the Apple, because the Apple's the one that matters. The YouTube one, I don't mind, but nowhere near. But I'll only post the YouTube videos when I have guests. But the next episode I'm doing, I won't have a guest this time around.
Yeah, it's all
going to be myself.
So follow that podcast on Apple, and the Five Nights at Freddy's episode coming up very soon after Danny sees the movie. So
should be next week, so I can talk about the box office as well. So should be interesting for this comeback as well. I will be touching base on that.
And you know what? Rate and review Danny's podcast. Go there and say the BO Boys sent me 5 stars.
Yep. Show him some love. This man came on the show and he cut the shit to our faces about what we said about Gran Turismo. That deserves 5-star ratings from every wanna-be-o boy, wanna-be-o girl, wanna-be-o person.
Yeah, he didn't come in here and kiss our ass.
Nope. Yelled in our goddamn face. We're looking at each other.
He almost told me to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Did I almost said that? Oh, I gotta watch this shit again.
No, do not apologize.
No.
I was complimenting
5 stars.
Yeah.
You guys just didn't mention the awareness. That's why I had to cut the shit. So, period.
Yeah.
Put us in our place.
Yeah. So give Danny 5 stars. Give us 5 stars. Next week, give us 5 stars. Don't give Danny the 5 stars right now.
Yes.
You only have the energy in your thumbs to give
Pay
one
it.
5-star review.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward. Give it to Danny right now. Anything else there you want to plug, Danny? I mean, the podcast comeback, that's the thing.
The Twitter, the Twitter, ISUS4M pod. That's going to be, the Bayo Boys will leave that in the show notes. Yeah, number 4.
Number 4.
So the Twitter is ISUS4 number 4 M pod. And my TikTok. I haven't been doing TikToks for as well, but gotta get back to making those audiograms for sure. Been damn lazy even before I stopped doing the show for a month. So definitely my comeback towards for sure.
You should do a "What does the fox say" TikTok.
Yes. Oh, that's gonna be hard for me,
Danny.
Yeah, I'll try.
That's your thing now.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
Pictures of Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's. That thing will take off.
Yeah,
we'll share it.
Yeah.
So follow Danny on all platforms. We'll have the links below, but of course, Apple is the main one. Give him 5 stars there. Of course, we are on YouTube, so watch us on YouTube. Of course, we also have web exclusives now. We're making videos, Clayton and I, specifically only for the YouTube channel. So after the show, it's the After BO, where we talk about how the show went, break it down, get into some fights, really, just really crazy stuff going on.
You guys are welcome to talk shit behind my back, so I'll be watching.
Well, you'll be watching. So you'll get to find out what we say, along with anyone who watches us exclusively on the YouTube channel. Also, full episodes there, clips, vertical videos, all kinds of stuff. But the After BO, that is what's going wild right now on our YouTube channel. Follow us on social medias at the BO Boys Pod. Wanna BO senior intern Christopher killing it with the vertical videos there. And of course, we thank Wanna BO junior intern Jack for his research and for his writing over at our Substack. So in the show notes, you've got the link. Our Substack is back, and it's thanks to Jack, who's going to.
I just got that email. That's very nice. You guys brought the Substack back. So all Wanna BO boys, girls, and people out there, the Swifties and the Kirk Manahan fans, the Barstoolies, subscribe to their Substacks.
Yes, a lot going on there. And email us, theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your boots on the ground reporting. So let us know what your Five Nights at Freddy's experience was this weekend. The BO Boys Podcast @gmail.com. Clayton, Danny, I think we've done it.
I can't imagine anything left to be said.
No, nothing.
Except for until next time,
we'll smell you at the box office.
Nailed it.